So good morning everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, we will be discussing Indian Express newspaper of the day. Sorry for the delay, there was some technical error, so we will not waste any time. We will be starting the discussion. So we will be starting with the practice question which was given to you in the previous lecture, and after that we will be moving to the fact of the day. Today we will be talking about another fact which can be important for your examination. Then coming to the next part, that is your constitutional amendment. We were we have discussed 92nd Constitutional Amendment Act. We will be moving further after that, and once we are done with the constitutional amendment section, we will be starting this new section, that is PYQ discussions. Okay, so we will be taking some PYQs from the polity or some other part of geography or something which we will be discussing for our revision. Okay, that will be a quick revision for us. Okay, now moving further, we will be looking at these three articles today. That is basically, you can say, rupee hits record low. Recently, if we are considering rupee with respect to the US dollar, we have seen that rupee is going down. So we will talk about that. We will see what are the factors which are letting this happen, what RBI is doing in this regard. Okay, so all these things we will be talking about. Then we will be moving to the next one, that looking at the land degradation. Now when we talk about the UNCCD, that is a body which is basically there to go for the discourses related to the land degradation and the desertification. Okay, so the COP16 is about to happen. So in that regard, we will be talking about the land degradation. We will see some data over here. Few of them you can remember for your examination. Okay, then we will be moving to the next one, that is landmark climate change case. Recently one case has been entertained in the International Court of Justice in Hague. Okay, so island nations has moved to this court. We will be seeing why. So that will be our discussion for today. For your own read, there will be two articles over here. One, we have discussed about the, you can say, this particular alternative currency which BRICS want to come up with, or the China and Russia want to come up with, and USA president has threatened about the such alternative architecture, that if they go for something like that, they will be the USA will be going to impose some kind of sanction. Okay, so in that regard, there is one article. Since we have already discussed this issue yesterday, so you can read that particular article. Okay, then in the end there will be a practice question for you. So let's start our discussion with the practice question which was given to you in the previous lecture, that is, where is Barnabapra Wildlife Sanctuary is located. Yesterday we have discussed about it, that there was this tiger which was sighted nearby this wildlife sanctuary, that has been translocated to the new one, Tamor Pingla. Okay, so Guru Ghasidas Tamor Pingla new tiger reserve has been formed over there, that is 56th tiger reserve in India. Okay, and the fourth one in Chhattisgarh. So option D would be your right answer over here. Please remember the name, that is Tamor Pingla, Guru Ghasidas Tamor Pingla Tiger Reserve. Okay, so this is the explanation of this particular question. Now before moving further, as you know that our classes of Mukherjee Nagar has been shifted to Noida sector 15. Okay, for any kind of inquiry you can call on this number, that is 9311406440, or you can click on the link which is given in the description. Other than that, our batches are starting over there in the Hindi medium from 9th of December, that is Monday in the morning, 11:30 batch. And then when we are talking about the English medium, the batch will start on Thursday, that is December 12th, 6 p.m. in the evening. Okay, for more details or to get enrolled in these courses, you can call on these numbers which are given on your screen, that is 9311406440 or 87501 Okay, other than that, for Prayagraj Center we have a course which is starting on 2nd of January 2025, both in Hindi and English medium at different time. For Hindi medium that is 6 p.m, for English medium that is 5:30 p.m. Now let's move further. Before that, please subscribe the channel. Other than that, we have started new initiative on our website, that is Sambhava 2025, wherein we will be going for the integrated practice for your prelims as well as mains. Okay, so 10 daily prelims practice set will be there. You can go and attempt that quiz, and there will be a real time tracking of your ranking in that particular prelims practice. Other than that, there will be 2 daily mains answer writing, so you can actually be in the touch with the mains preparation as well, because most of the time you will see after December people are shifting towards the prelims preparation. So considering that, we will be having this integrated initiative that has started from the 22nd of December on our website. So you can go and visit the website, okay, and explore more. Now let's start with our discussion, that is fact of the day. Today we will be talking about the e-dakhil. You know the word dakhil, that means that the admission, okay, to get the admission or something like that. So that is dakhil. The e-dakhil portal was launched on 7th September 2020 by National Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission under the Consumer Protection Act 2019 amid COVID-19 pandemic. At that point of time they have started it, but still it is working. Features are, it provides an inexpensive, speedy, hassle-free mechanism for filing consumer complaints online. Okay, so e-dakhil is for the consumer complaints, and you can say admission of these complaints will be online. It lets consumer file complaints, pay fee, track the cases from home. Registration is simple via OTP on mobile or email addresses. So basically from your this particular discussion, just know that there is this e-Dakhil portal which is related to your consumer disputes, okay, because you can get confused that Dakhil can be related to your admission. So you might go for the school admissions, college admissions, or there might be another fair amount of deal is there with respect to the admissions. So you admissions, you have to remember that this is related to your consumer protection. Okay, now we can move further here. 93rd Amendment Act 2005. Okay, why haven't you been live for so many days? I was live yesterday, and before that we had Saturday, Sunday, so I was not there. So this program is from Monday to Friday it is there, and Saturday, Sunday's newspaper will be covered in the Monday's program. Okay, so that is there. So now 93rd Amendment Act 2005 empowered the state to make special provision for the socially and economically backward classes or the scheduled class, caste and scheduled tribe in education institutions, including the private institution. Now the thing is, when we are talking about the reservation or the special you can say consideration or the positive affirmation, all these things when we talk about, this is basically an onus on the government. Okay, now in this particular amendment what was said was that they will be giving you the this reservation in the private institutions as well, whether aided or unaided by the state, except for the minority institutions which are formed in the under the article 2930. If minority institution has been formed, so that will be there. Then when we are talking about this amendment, why this amendment was brought? This amendment was actually brought to nullify a Supreme Court judgment. Supreme Court has said that in the private institution and the minority institution you cannot go for the reservation, and that is why government has come up with the act. Okay, now Supreme Court has said that there is no such procedure. Now government has made a procedure under Article 15 clause 5. Okay, Article 15 clause 5, they have made this provision that in the private institutions also these categories will be getting reservation. Okay, and that is only for the private institution, that these are aided, whether they are aided or non-aided. But the thing is, for the minority institution that is not the case. Okay, so that is there. The amendment was enacted to nullify Supreme Court judgment in the Inamdar case 2005, where the apex court ruled that the state cannot impose reservation policy on the minority and the non-minority unaided private colleges. Okay, where finance is not coming from the government side to the private institution. In that case you cannot go for such reservation, but that has been actually nullified by this amendment. Okay, so this is the amendment which you can remember, that is related to Article 15 clause 5. Now this is your homework, that you will go and read the Article 15 clause 5 and try to understand that what we were trying to say over here. Okay, now we can move further to the next part, that is your first article of the day. Rupee hits record low on and the concern over slowing growth, stronger dollar. So there are 2-3 things which are happening in the Indian economy right now. Yesterday we have discussed that in the last quarter we have not performed as well. Okay, we were performing somewhere around 5.4% or something, and RBI has expected somewhere around 7% or something. Okay, but if we talk about with respect to the last quarter, here you can see the India's GDP growth in the Q2 financial year 2024 dropped to 5.4%, a 7-quarter low from the 7.6% in the Q1. Okay, so in the last quarter we have performed with 6.7%, and in the latest quarter we have performed to 5.4%, because of which you can say that the growth rate has declined over here. So that is one concern. Other than that, also when we are talking about the FIIs etc., these are also going out of India. So there is this FII outflow. Considering all these situations and the kind of uncertainty is there with respect to the USA right now. Okay, so we are facing this issue that rupee has hit the record low. The Indian rupee fell to a record low of 84.70 against the US dollar due to slowing GDP growth and a strong dollar. Dollar is getting stronger because there is a demand of dollar in the market. When FII is basically going out of India, that means that dollar is going out of India. That will create a crunch of dollar in India, that will increase the demand. That is one thing. Other than that, also at the global level also the dollar demand is there, because the 90% of the trade is there in dollars, and that is why dollar is getting stronger. Okay, now here you can see foreign institutional investors FII outflow, which we have seen that mostly you will be seeing that from India most of the FIIs has moved towards China. Okay, but there are chances that they will be moving back to India, because when we are talking about the stimulus which has been given by China recently, these stimulus are basically for the debt restructuring, okay, and not for the you can say investment, and there are high chances because of which these dynamic might change in the future anyway. So, foreign institutional investor outflow increasing the demand for foreign currency, a strong US dollar and a weakened Chinese yuan added pressure on the Asian currencies including the rupees, okay. Now, importers high demand for the US dollar contributed to the rupees decline, as I told you. When we are talking about India or any country, as a matter of fact, if foreign FII is going out, that means that dollar in the country is declining. Other than that also, if importers are demanding for the dollar, so that means that demand of dollar is increasing. Dollar in the country is declining, that means that demand is increasing, okay. Earlier supply was more, now supply was less, and that is why the demand is increasing. When demand is increasing, that means that the price corresponding to that will also increase, okay. So, simple thing is that if there are you can say apples in the market, if there is a surplus supply of apple, obviously they will be having a moderate rates, okay. Now, if there is a crunch in the market of these apples, that means that a person would like to buy, let's say earlier he was buying for 150 rupees 150 rupees per kg, okay. But now, since there is crunch of apples in the market and he needs apple, so he will go for even 160, 170. That means that the price is increasing because demand is more and supply is less, okay. So, similarly in the Indian market as well, the dollar supply is less right now and importers are increasing the demand, that means that dollar will strengthen. Now, moving further, the Reserve Bank of India intervened to stabilize the rupee, keeping it in the keeping it to the 84.65 to 84.95 range, okay. So, basically when we are talking about the exchange rates, most of the time you will see that RBI will not interfere in the exchange rate, they will be market driven. But in case that is going out of hand, if you will be seeing that rupee is getting weaker and weaker, in that case RBI can go and peg the exchange rate at, as they seem fit, okay. So, RBI has intervened and said that the rupee rate will be like this, 84.65 to 84.95. that should be the exchange rate in this particular range, okay. Future rupee performance will depend on the domestic recovery, global trends and FII activities. These are the factors which are impacting the dollar and the rupee exchange rate, okay. Moving further, how land degradation is threatening Earth's capacity to sustain humanity, okay. So, when we talk about this land degradation, in the simple meaning you can say that it is basically undermining the capacity of Earth to sustain the humanity. That means that when we are talking about the lands, so land is a resource which is providing you with various things, like when we are talking about the soil will give you various things like crops, etc., fruits, vegetables. So, Earth has a capacity, a soil has a capacity, okay, and the population is increasing. If the you can say the quality of soil is declining, that means that the capacity to produce is declining, okay. So, ultimately the ability to sustain the earth is declining. So, that is what your land degradation is, okay. So, let us say we can say that if we had a cultivable area which is decreasing because of the increase in the desertification, that you can say that that is land degradation, okay. So, we will be seeing a comprehensive definition, but to make you understand, this is this is the way where you can see that if the fertility of land is declining, or you can say the productivity of land is declining, that means that you are going for the land degradation, okay. So, let us see why we are talking about this right now, because the UNCCD conference of parties 16, that is to happen in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, okay. So, please you can remember that, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, okay. So, this particular place you will be seeing in the news in the future. So, please keep a tab on that. Now, moving further, land degradation is undermining Earth's capacity to sustain humanity, and failure to reverse it will pose challenge for the generations to come, okay. One thing is, that is we are undermining the Earth's capacity to sustain humanity, okay, because land degradation is happening. Second thing is that we are not able to revive it, okay. So, that is something which our generations, future generation will be paying for. So, that is given in the United Nations report. A million square kilometer of land is getting degraded each year, and is estimated 15 million square kilometer impacted, more than the entire continent of Antarctica. That is the, you can say, expanse, wherein we are seeing that almost, when you are talking about the size of the Antarctica, almost that much area of the land has been degraded. So that is a cause of concern for us. Now, if we talk about this report's analysis, the UN Convention to Combat Desertification, that is basically UNCCD. Okay, so UN Convention to Combat Desertification, that is UNCCD, a legally binding framework to address desertification and the effects of the droughts. And along with them, along with UNCCD, Germany's Potsdam Institution for Climate Change Impact Research, they are also basically taking part in this particular report. Okay, 16th session of the COP is happening, so I have told you that already. Now, what is land degradation? Why is a matter of concern? Now, land degradation is a reduction or loss of the biological or the economical productivity and the complexity of the rain-fed cropland, irrigated cropland, or the range, pastures, forest, woodland, resulting from the combination of pressure, including the land use and the management practices. You can read it again, I will read it for you. Land degradation is the reduction or the loss of biological or the economic productivity. As I told you, if productivity is declining, that means that land is getting degraded. So that is biological or the economic productivity and complexities of the rain-fed cropland, irrigated cropland, ranges, pastures. Pastures are basically the area where, you can say, animal used to go for the fed, and then animals are fed. Then forest, woodlands, resulting from combination of pressure, including the land use and the management practices. Okay, so ultimately, if the productivity of land is declining, whether economically or, you can say, geographically, that is your land degradation. Now, adverse effects of the land degradation can impact human ecosystems around the planet. So that is there. It raises the risk of the malnutrition by reducing the quality and the quantity of the food production, spread of waterborne diseases. Okay, water and the foodborne diseases, because obviously if your quality of the land is declining or the nutrients are increasing, ultimately it will go for the soil pollution or the water pollution. So that is there. Poor hygiene and the scarcity of the clean water, respiratory diseases due to the soil erosion. Okay, so all these things are the, you can say, adverse impact. Other than that, if we are talking about the marine ecosystem, etc., so marine and the freshwater system are also suffering due to the land degradation. Okay, why? Because the eroded land, the whatever land which is land erosion is happening, that will ultimately carry the fertilizers, etc., in those water bodies. Okay, and because of the excess fertilizer, there are chances that the water bodies might see the phenomena of eutrophication. Okay, so that can be happening over there. So fertilizer, pesticides washed into the water bodies, harming the fauna living there and local communities which depends on them. If there is a lot of nutrition or lot of you can say chemicals which are entering into the water body, that means that biological oxygen demand will increase over there. And if that is not been fulfilled, that means that it will impact the, you can say, marine life which is living, or the, you know, any kind of fauna which is living inside the water, that will get harmed. Okay, now it contributes to the climate change as well, we know that. Okay, now world soil is the largest terrestrial carbon sink. Okay, when we are talking about the soil, there is a carbon you can say CO2, etc., or the carbon equivalent, which are basically sequestrated or the stored in the soil. Now if you are going for any kind of soil erosion, ultimately that will release into the atmosphere. Okay, so that is also one cause of the concern. If these are released in the atmosphere, that will lead to the global warming. Now, reduce the capacity of the land ecosystem such as trees and soil to absorb human caused carbon dioxide by 20% in the last decade. They are saying that because of this pollution, because of the land degradation, there has been a decline of 20% in the carbon sequestration in the last decade. Okay, previously this ecosystem could absorb nearly 1/3 of the this kind of pollution. Now, what is causing the land degradation? So unsustainable agricultural practices, unsustainable irrigation practices. When we are talking about unsustainable agriculture practices, that means that you are using excess chemical, you are using excess fertilizers, excess pesticides, etc., and they are ultimately being washed away in the water and the soil. Okay, so that is one thing. Second thing is the unsustainable irrigation practices, and because of which also the nitrogen, phosphorus, etc., which are there in the, you can say, soil, they are washed away with this water, and ultimately they will, you know, find place in the groundwater table, or otherwise also when we are talking about the, you know, other aquatic bodies, etc. Okay, then climate change. Climate change has two-way effect. Okay, If climate change is increasing, that means that it will be leading to the soil degradation, and if soil degradation is happening, that will lead to the climate change. So there is a positive feedback loop which is going on over here. Okay, coming to the next one, there is this IPCC report which is saying that the global warming has worsened land degradation by increasing frequency, intensity, or the amount of heavy precipitation, and increased heat stress. Okay, and last you can say impact you can see in the rapid urbanization. Okay, urbanization happening is because of which the habitat destruction is happening. Okay, people are moving towards the forest. Ultimately, if there is a cultivable area, and if you are having a building over there, ultimately you are losing a fertile soil. Okay, so that is also your part of land degradation. Okay, so this is something which we have talked about. Now, which areas are the worst affected areas? So the areas which are dry in nature, let's say if there is a desert, if the areas of Africa, when we are talking about the Sahara desert, etc., when we are talking about the, you can say, the South Asian countries, when we talk about the desert like India, the Thar desert, etc., so whenever we are seeing the dry conditions, these are the area which are more prone to the desertification or the land degradation. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now we can move further. Sir, where is the PDF taken? So PDF you can download from the Telegram channel. Link is given in the description. So after this class, after 2 to 3 hours, we will be uploading the PDF over there. Okay. Now moving further, landmark climate change case opens at Hague, and island nations fear rising the sea. So basically, the island nations, these nations are at the threat, or you can say the worst impacted nations by the climate change. Okay, climate change is leading to the rise in the sea level. If sea level is rising, first they will impact the island nations. Okay, so these nations has been talking about in the, when we are talking about the climate summit which has happened, so they have protested a lot. They have tried to put forward their you can say concerns, but the developed countries are not hearing. They have actually, when we are talking about the climate financing, they have offered 300 billion per year, but the demand was 1.3 trillion per year. Okay, so ultimately they have they were not being heard. So now they are in the International Court of Justice. Okay, so let's see what has happened. The United Nations Court took up the largest case in its history to on Monday, hearing the plight of several small island nations helpless in combating the devastating impacts of the climate change that they feel endangered their very survival. The demand that major polluting nations are to be held accountable. Okay, so that is one thing because of which they have entered the case. Basically, they are concerned about the climate change, and they are saying that the countries like developed countries should be held responsible, or those countries who are going for the pollution, that should be held responsible. Now, after years of lobbying by island nations who fear they could simply disappear under rising sea waters, UN General Assembly asked the International Court of Justice last year for an opinion on the obligation of states in respect to the climate change. For that opinion, the UN General Assembly has asked for it, and now they are in the ICJ. Okay, the statement has been made by the Vanuatu archipelago nation. Okay, please remember the name. They can ask you in the examination where this island is located, etc. So this is your homework, that you will go and look for this particular island. Now, domestic legal remedies are unable to address the crisis of this scope and magnitude. Obviously, these island nations are saying that we cannot do it from our home, or we domestic policies might not make such changes because this is a global matter, and that is why they have raised it on this particular platform. State has obligations to act with due diligence to prevent significant harm to the environment, to reduce the emissions, and provide support to countries like mine to protect the human rights of present and the future generation. Any decision by the ICJ would not be binding. Okay, it is a non-binding advice. When we talk about the International Court of Justice, there are two kind of cases which are there. Okay, when we are talking about this case over here, the advice given over here will be non-binding. Okay, so that is there, and couldn't directly force wealthy nation to act in helping the struggling countries. In the decade up to 2023, sea level has risen by global average of around 4.3 centimeters. Please remember this particular fact. Sorry. Please remember this fact that by 2023, the sea level has risen by 4.3 centimeters. Okay, and when we are talking about centimeters, with part of the Pacific rising higher still, the world has also been warmed by 1.3 degrees Celsius after the pre-industrial level. Now, when we are talking about the 1.3 degree Celsius, you know that we have the target to keep it up to 1.5 degree Celsius, and we are not doing anything you can say significant to keep that particular target intact. Okay, so that is something which you could remember. These two facts can be important for you. Okay. Now, moving further about the ICJ. The ICJ was established in 1945 by the United Nations Charter and started working in April 1946. Right now, it is having 193 states which are members. It is the principal judicial organ of the United States, situated at the Peace Palace in The Hague. Now, this is the only organ which is not having its headquarter in the you can say New York. Unlike 6 principal organs of the United Nations, it is the only one which is not located in New York. It is located in Hague, Netherlands. Okay. It settles legal dispute between the states, give advisory opinion in accordance with the international law on legal questions referred to it by the authorized United Nations organs and the specialized agencies. Okay. So, recent incident when we are talking about, that has been referred by the United Nations General Assembly. Okay. So, they will be giving an advice, and that advice is non-binding in nature. Okay. But this will have a moral sanction on the you can say countries. Now, 35% GST hike, that is likely on the cigarettes, aerated drinks and tobacco. Now, there is this group of ministers meeting which has happened with respect to the you can say that compensatory cess which was imposed earlier. Okay, and that was earlier for the 5 years, that has been extended till 2026. Earlier it was for up to 2022, and that has been actually extended because of the COVID related issues and the compensation to the states. So, that has been expanded to 2026, and before that they have to go for the review, and there was this group of ministers which has been set for the review of that particular cess, and they have said that they need more time. Okay, so that is the reason this particular you can say article was in news. In that, they are saying that the first major restructuring of tax rates under GST 7 years after its rollout, a special rate of 35% could be carved out for demerit or the sin goods such as the aerated beverages, cigarettes, tobacco and the related product. Okay, these are called as sin goods. Okay, so demerit good or the sin goods. Okay, so like tobacco or the you can say your drinks, your alcoholic drinks, etc., they are basically part of your sin goods. Now, ahead of the GST Council meeting on December 21st, the group of minister on the rate ratio rationalization, rate rationalization. So, when we are talking about the rate rationalization, that means that we are having different brackets under the GST. We have 4 brackets right now when we are talking about the GST. One is of your 5%, second is of your 12%, third is of 18%, and next is your 28%. Now, we are saying that there can be another bracket, that is 35% for the sin goods. And why they are introducing it? Because if you are to do away with the compensatory cess, so you have to make sure that the state are getting revenues from somewhere else. So, here you will be seeing that with this 35% tax, the state might be getting revenues. Okay, so that is there. Here you can see we have already talked about the 4 slab GST structure. Group of ministers on the compensatory cess, they have said that they sought an extension of 6 months to submit the report to the GST Council. Here you can see that the GOM is looking at the legal implication of removal of the cess levied on the sin and the luxury goods such as car, tobacco over and above the existing highest of 28%. Okay, so to review that particular cess, they are basically looking for this particular you can say report which is to be submitted by the group of minister. There is nothing much to discuss. In the future, we will be seeing that December 21st they are having a GST Council meeting, and then we will be keeping a tab, because these are just proposals as of now. So, this is nothing concrete. Okay. Now, CBSE plan picked from standard or advanced social science and the sciences in the class 9th and 10th. Recently, CBSE is saying that they will be introducing, let's say there is a subject maths. So, they will be introducing 2 parts. One is your basic maths, or second is your basic or standard, and second will be your advanced. So, you can choose from any of one, because when we are talking about the education system in the new education policy, it was said that there should not be a pressure. Okay, the focus should be on learning and not on you can say burdening the student. So, considering that, they have come up with the idea that they will be dividing the subjects in 2 parts. One will be your basic and the standard you can say mathematics, and then there will be advanced level mathematics. Now, you can choose if you want to read the basic one, that is for your own understanding. And if you want to go for the advanced one, if you want to go for let's say technical subjects like engineering etc., then you can go for the advanced mathematics. So that is the option which will be given to the students by the you can say CBSE. Earlier this thing was already in place for mathematics. Right now if we are talking about, this is already there for mathematics. Now they want to introduce this for the social sciences and the sciences as well. Okay, so in 9th and 10th they will go for this you can say compartmentalization, wherein they will put this option in front of the student, and student has to decide whether he want to go for the standard subject or the advanced level subject. Okay, so that is, you can say, this is a progressive kind of step which has been taken by the government over here. So this is as part of an attempt to reduce the pressure. The National Education Policy 2020 stated that all subjects and the corresponding assessment beginning with the mathematics could be offered at 2 levels, with standard doing same subject at the standard level and some at the you can say high level. What will happen is that, so for these two you can say levels, the paper will be set separately. In the advanced level you will be going for the different kind of booklets, and in the standard level you will be having different booklets. The you can subject is same, but the level syllabus will also be same, but the level of questions in the paper will be advanced in the advanced level. Okay, so that is about this new initiative which has been taken by the CBSE. India has contributed to BRICS, that is $2 billion US. Okay, and that has been asked by the in the Lok Sabha. A minister has asked a question, a member has asked a question, and that a reply has been given by the government. So they have told that India has contributed $2 billion US in the BRICS New Development Bank. Okay, when we are talking about the BRICS, there is this New Development Bank. We have contributed this much, and India, there are 20 projects which are supported by New Development Bank, which are having a worth of 4,867 million US dollars. Okay, so that is the amount which we have contributed to the BRICS New Development Bank, and this is the amount they have invested back in India. Other than that, recently they are asking this question because that there was this issue of the Donald Trump saying that if BRICS is going for an alternative currency, then they will be facing 100% tariff. Okay, so because of which that has been discussed in the parliament. Other than that, also it is not in favor of USA as well if they are going for the 100% tariffs on India, because ultimately it will harm their interest as well. Okay, because India is a good market. If we are talking about the BRICS countries, okay, or that is your Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. Other than that, also there are other 5 countries which has already joined. So these are the emerging markets, these are the big markets. You cannot afford to go for the 100% tariff on such markets. Okay, so that is about this article. Now moving further, despite Ladakh thought, China approach in Indo-Pacific is still a worry. Now we have seen that in the Ladakh area we have gone for some kind of agreement, we have gone for the patrolling which has been started, and there are hopes for the future as well. Okay, now what is the issue in the Indo-Pacific? So in the region, China is still rising. In the one part, India, if we consider India, and if we talk about the Ladakh area, this is just a small, you can say, development which has happened. It is not a victory, it is just a development which has happened, that we are going in the positive direction. Okay, so that is what is there. And other than that, China still is a concern for India as well as the other countries which are there in the Pacific region or the USA. Okay, so that has been talked about by the Chief of Naval Staff Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi. So we will see that what he has said. The thaw in India-China tensions in Ladakh has not altered China's approach in the Indo-Pacific region, that has rising concerns. Then China remains assertive in the Indo-Pacific and collaborate with Pakistan to bolster the maritime strength. Now they are collaborating with the Pakistan. You know that there is this Gwadar port on which China has a significant presence. Okay. Then coming to the next one, Pakistan's navy is expanding rapidly, supported by China, including the construction of the submarines at the Karachi shipyard. Okay, so basically China is helping Pakistan building you can say navy capacities. Geopolitical observation, if we talk about, the navy is monitoring Indian Navy is basically monitoring extra regional forces activity in the Indian Ocean, and particularly PLA's navy presence in the Indian Ocean region. Okay, then India aims to maintain a strong maritime presence and the cooperation among the Indo-Pacific nation, including partnerships like Indo-Pacific Maritime Domain Awareness Initiative. So this is an initiative wherein they are talking about the safety and the stability of the Indo-Pacific region. Then cooperation and ensuring the regional stability is essential. China's intent to challenge the established global power structure. that is West dominated global power structure or the USA dominated global power structure, China's intent to challenge that particular you can say already established power center manifesting more in the Pacific region. Okay, you will be seeing that that is the area, that is the arena where China is playing right now. Okay, and from Pacific they want to rise to the global level. From Pacific they are threatening the hegemony of USA. Okay, India and Bangladesh have strong ties with collaborative efforts to enhance the maritime capabilities. Now that China is supporting, you can say, Pakistan, so we can go with the nearby other countries like Bangladesh, Myanmar, or the island countries to make sure that we are having good cooperative relations with these countries, so that we can check the rise of China. Okay. Now moving further to the next one, that is for your own read. There are two articles. One is electronic monitoring of the prisoners, arguments for in the favor and the you can say against. Electronic monitoring, that means that electronic devices will be there which will be attached to their body like ankle bracelet, etc. Okay, and that will be monitoring or the surveilling their positioning or their movements. Okay, so now there are concerns related to privacy, etc. All these things are there. So in pro and cons, both of them has been discussed in this article. This is given in the simple language, you can go through this. Okay, now you have to take one or two, you can say, insight from this particular article and make sure that if there is something, if they want to talk about prisoner reforms, if they ask you a question in mains about the prisoner reforms, you can mention one or two facts from this article. Okay, now moving further, BRIC currency Trump threat, we have already talked about this particular issue, so you can go through this article as well. Okay, in the end we have this question for you, that is, where is the International Court of Justice headquartered? Geneva, Switzerland; The Hague, Netherlands; New York, USA; Vienna, Austria. Okay, so you can attempt this question and answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, have a good day. Thank you, and please subscribe the channel.